listening to the Digitally Irresistible podcast, where we cover the optimization of digital technologies and irresistible people. Brought to you by iQor. Each episode features someone who sheds a little more light on the ins and outs of delivering a great employee and customer experience that has a measurable impact on the business. And now, here's today's guest. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Digitally Irresistible podcast. I'm your host, Bernie Borges. Today's featured guest is Ingrid Ceballos. Welcome, Ingrid.
Thank you so much for having me, Bernie. Super excited to be here with you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation because, Ingrid, your 16-year career journey at iQor is pretty amazing. I mean, you started as an agent, and today you run an entire iQor center in South Florida. You're responsible for more than 100 work in office and work at home employees' performance and their well-being. And you have P&L responsibility for the client program that you support. So on this episode, Ingrid, what I want to discuss with you is the role that coaching in particular has played in your career journey, and also the role that coaching plays in your role as the leader of your team at your center. But first, Ingrid, as I think you know, let's begin with your backstory. Let's begin with your introduction, sort of a short version of your 16-year journey at iQor and how you got to your current role.
Absolutely, Bernie. So I've been with iQor for 16 amazing years. I started as an agent, helping customers over the phone. And then I fell in love with talking to people all over the United States and being able to help them. After that, I was promoted to what we call a senior agent and helping my peers with complex situations and so on. And I also was a supervisor. I worked in the training department, quality, and now I get to run my own site. And I'm super excited. I have an amazing team in South Florida that been with me for many, many, many years. They're my second family.
Fantastic. Well, you have a pretty big role. You're director of operations at the South Florida facility for iQor. Tell us more about that. What exactly is involved in that role?
Absolutely. So when you're the site director, you have to understand your client's needs, not only their product, but understand what they stand for. And then also we're responsible to run their operations, their day-to-day operations, and make sure that we do it. Taking in consideration our core values. So everything that you can think of from KPIs to making sure that we meet our goals, to making sure that our people are happy and staying with us to make sure that we continue to keep our family together, right? Or work family together.
Fantastic. Now, Ingrid, in preparing for this podcast recording today, you shared something with me that I want to share with our viewer and our listener. And that is you said that you have a specific perspective on leadership. Why don't you share your leadership perspective with us?
Absolutely. I think that it's easy to focus on results. But sometimes people forget about the people. So the way that I look at leadership, I look at my team as one of my clients. So I have my client, I have iCore, and then I have my team. The three of them are equally important, and I try to balance every decision, everything that we do is we take in consideration our three clients.
Okay. Now, going back to when you first started 16 years ago as an agent, I know from our preparation also that one of the influencing things that you experienced that really helped you advance in your career was coaching. So why don't you tell us what is the role of coaching for an agent? How did that influence you when you were an agent?
That was the most important thing for me. And then I met some amazing coaches throughout the years, and I give thanks to them. And thanks to them, I'm here today, because coaching is super important. There's nothing more important than having somebody that is reminding you the things that you're doing well, and then is also helping you and teaching you how to do things differently. So you can, if you have any opportunities, those opportunities can become your strengths. So as when I started as an agent, I remember having my coach next to me, helping me and guiding me on that call. It was super important. So as I continue in my journey, I always wanted to take that with me. Somebody that will feel, I want to make sure that I had a team, or I have a team that our agents feel comfortable going to, that if they have a complex situation, they can go to a coach that is expert, that has a lot of compassion, and then it has a very balanced approach when giving feedback. It's one of the most important things in everything, not just in the iCor world, but everywhere. It's, I mean, you have, basketball players, they need a coach, right? So everybody needs a coach, and coaching is super important to the things that we do every single day.
Okay. So, what about today? Tell us about your passion for coaching as a coach, coaching others and mentoring others.
So I developed a love for coaching just because I saw the impact that it had in my career, to the point, Bernie, that actually I started going to school to understand a little bit more about leadership. Not to mention, iCor has an amazing coaching and leadership program that we all get to be part of. And that has helped me with my coaching techniques, coaching tools, and actually be able to help my team to go to the next level, and then actually see my team getting promoted. And at one point, I have to admit, I was like getting a little bit. I'm like, again, every time that I had a coach that it was getting better, they would get promoted, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to start all over again. But then I understood that it was because of our passion for coaching that people were moving up, and now I think is the most rewarding thing.
And how does the role of technology come into play? What's the role of coaching technology with iCor, your iCor team?
Absolutely. So we work at a call center. So to be the answer of every question, the answers and the calls. So listening not only to the calls, but actually listen to what our people needs, what our agents need. It's super important. We have amazing technology that actually helps our coaches be on super steroids and become super coaches just by there's actually we have one product, Bernie, that is called Valdi, that allows our coaches to type keywords that are important to the success of our agents. And then, like that, in 3 seconds or less, our coaches can find several calls where our agents are using that keyword, and they're able to listen to multiple calls. So when they go to a coaching session, they're very prepared, and they're targeting what our agents truly need. It's amazing. I don't think that we can live without it. It really helps us to be one of the best in the business.
Fantastic. Now, something else that I know from our preparation for this podcast, Ingrid, is that you have achieved 3 degrees, college degrees, during your 16-year career at iCor. Tell us a little bit about how did you do that, first of all, and how did iCor support you while you were going for those 3 degrees?
Yes, that's such an amazing. That's one of the reasons why I love iCor. It actually took me 8 years through the time. I had amazing mentors through the process that actually gave me tips and pointers on how to balance my life, and my work life, and actually my school life. We have an amazing Bernie tuition reimbursement program that actually I was able to use throughout my entire career. So I was able to do both. I was able to work and then take classes either in the morning or at night, and then I work with my schedule. So it was really, really amazing, and I'm very thankful for that.
Fantastic. Well, I commend you for having the discipline to do that. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Um, Ingrid, I have one final question before my final question, and that is, since you've been with iCor for 16 years and you have progressed, you started as an agent and you progressed to a director level role with a big responsibility. What advice would you like to give to someone who's maybe 1 or 2 years into their career at iCor?
Um, the biggest advice that I can give anyone is something that I learned throughout the years, that it's important for us to listen, to take feedback. The feedback is truly a gift. and that to make sure that we're implementing. If somebody's telling you one thing, but if two people are telling you the same thing, then it's maybe time for us to start listening. And then also that it's important that if you are in a leadership role, to mentor people and then help them to become a better version of themselves. It's super important. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's the truth.
Great advice, Ingrid. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Well, now we get to my final question, and I think you know what that is. I always like to ask my guest, when you're not working, Ingrid, what do you like to do for fun?
Mm. I think it has changed for us, for everybody, due to COVID. I'm a foodie, so I love to go out and eat. But now, since we're in COVID times, now we're learning how to cook a little bit more. So, a couple of things that I have done now is like learn different recipes and then just cook. And then also, I developed a passion for little plants, cactus. So I'm trying to keep them alive during this time. I'm still working on those things. So those are some of the things that I'm doing. And of course, I have a 4-year old. So lots of monster trucks, building ramps, and becoming very creative in a sandbox.
Well, that's a lot of variety, and I can tell you, I do not have a green thumb, so I envy you and admire you for that part of the fun activities. So, thank you for sharing that, Ingrid. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on this episode of the Digitally Irresistible podcast and share your backstory, share your passion for coaching and developing people, and just what you've achieved in inspiring others at iQor and even outside of iQor on achieving and being, like you said, a better version of themselves. And I just want to, again, thank you for inspiring us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Digitally Irresistible podcast, where we cover the optimization of digital technologies and irresistible people, delivering a great employee and customer experience that has a measurable impact on the business. Brought to you by iQor. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss future episodes.